the curing is not actually available. So what are the main contributing factors? Inadequate handling of food, both at the farm and also
look at this. These logs where they normally, cut meat, fish, everything, so dirty, highly contaminated. Dogs, rats come and enjoy them at night, and then there's no washing, So how do you now prevent this kind of problem? The use of chemicals in preserving our food. In here they were talking about closing 140 butcheries because of use of formalin in meat. And this was just recently 2021. I don't know whether this voice has now stopped. Maybe people are fearing because there was a strong, I think, campaign against it. But many things are still taking place. Look at this, 90% of the chicken consumed in Uganda contains antibiotics. So what is the role of the veterinary officers in advising our farmers what they are supposed to do, to make sure that animals which are treated are not actually slaughtered. And this was a whole organization, the World Animal Protection Association, which was talking about that and then relating this to several diseases. This is just this year, actually. It is not far away. Sometimes I feel that people have lost good faith. That's why they do some of these things. Look at this guy, he had powered in Senene, and now he was just putting back the Senene into the bucket to sell. Yeah? So, please, extension officers, this is a serious problem that has persisted and still continuing. Look at the application of pesticides by farmers. These deadly chemicals in our local, vegetables. We have just actually eaten vegetables, and we are always encouraging consumption of fresh fruits and vegetables. And madam, you are talking about being strong because you have eaten fruits and vegetables. Are you sure they were safe? Yeah? They don't have these pesticides. Okay? So the issue of Dyson M45, you know it very well, you agriculture extension officers, how farmers have mistakenly used it as a post-harvest fungicide when it is supposed to be a pre-harvest fungicide. I have to rush through because I was given only 10 minutes, and please warn me if I exceed the time. So I'm just giving examples. Look at these cancer-causing milky vegetables on the market, etc. And these are recent stories. Now, who is supposed to be regulating these banned, pesticides which are cleared in Uganda. Think about it. Okay. Tomorrow, we are going to be disseminating these results in Kabila Country Club Hotel. We have invited a number of stakeholders to see how dangerous it is to eat these street foods, which are being prepared using reused, recycled oil. It's very, very dangerous. But now they are even using transformer oil. You can imagine, how our people are thinking about us, the consumers. Okay, cancer, with maize. So now, assuming that a tourist came and wanted to eat posho, posho having been praised as a very good food, and then somebody comes to this country and says, I want to taste posho for the first time, and then he sees this, can that person eat posho? Think about it. The rejections that we are having in this country, in terms of volumes, in terms of money, internationally, is very, very absurd. For most of these produce that we have actually been exporting have been rejected because of a number of issues which concern safety, as I can actually give the examples there. A lot of economic impacts. We have lost money. We have lost, energy. We have lost money in terms of treating ourselves. Treatments are not actually easy. And people have wasted the time because of not working, being ill, etc. And then also some of these forgotten costs, including money for research, to do research, it's quite enormous. The testing of these, foods to establish their levels, both at the border post and also within the company itself. So who is responsible for food safety in this country? It's all of us. It's everybody's business. But the government should take a lead. You were asking actually what government is. But for me, I believe government authorities should actually take a lead in terms of establishing standards and even enforcing them so that the people can actually know what to do. Private sector has got a very big role to play also because of their role in in setting standards and also enforcing them. And lastly, ourselves, the consumers. We need to consume something that we are sure of in terms of safety and quality. The last challenge that I want to show you are the where government is supposed to take a lead are the national food control systems, where I've got the laws and regulations. They are actually, unfortunately, we have got a number of laws. They are scattered everywhere in MDAs. They are old, such that they cannot address current challenges in food safety, and they are not even enforced. We don't have the capacity to analyze some of these, dangerous compounds in the foodstuffs, and then, of course, we have, little in terms of data. So we need to really work a lot in terms of ensuring that the national food control system works in this country. Now, in conclusion, we have been advocating for unhealthy food, actually, all along, including, training, media, and whatever. But most of the times, we tend to think that food which is not healthy is food which is high in terms of saturated fat, in terms of sugar, in terms of salt. But to me, I believe that food safety should actually come as number one for this particular country, because it is one of the biggest challenges as far as unhealthy food is concerned. And let the country now join the efforts of the African Union in enforcing the strategy that has been put in place, because it has got a number of practical, solutions that can help this country to manage food safety. And I hope that the ongoing, struggle to establish the food and agricultural regulatory authority, FARA, will now put into consideration issues of food safety and quality. And lastly, we strongly need a food safety law in this country, because we actually don't have it. The food safety bill ended somewhere, it didn't work. Now I think we need to be completed in terms of the law. Yeah. So sometimes choosing to do nothing is also a choice. The choice is ours. If we don't do anything, you know, we'll continue to suffer. If somebody does that because of, you know, that log, no problem. Thank you very much. Those are the few examples that I could actually select in the 10 minutes that I was given. Yeah.
Yes, let's put our hands together for Professor Achileo. Thank you very much, Professor. I'm sure he has taught many of you in class issues of food safety. So once again, we get to meet in this platform. Thank you so much for that information. We don't know whether he connived with the hotel to tell us about food safety after lunch, after we have already eaten. But nevertheless, we believe that at least we think it should be safe enough. So if you see your neighbor acting in a way that is strange, we hope it is not issues of food. But we believe that at least the lunch we have had will keep us safe enough. He talked about very interesting things, like people using formalin to preserve food. We don't know whether they want to preserve us alive or it will help preserve us in another state, but we believe that everything will be fine. Very interesting presentation. Maybe just before he leaves, I would like to alert the other presenters to be ready as well. We're going to have somebody come and speak to us about women and gender in agriculture. In Ministry of Agriculture, especially Directorate of Extension, we have a strategy on youth engagement and gender streamlining in agriculture. So somebody is going to speak to us about that. Thereafter, we're going to have somebody speak to us about resilience along the agriculture value chain. I hope you're also prepared and ready. Choice from Naro. Then we shall have a private agriculture extension services speaking. Then finally, we shall have somebody speak to us about artificial intelligence. So please have your presentations ready. Then we shall have you here. Now, for the purpose of us spending time to digest the lunch that we had properly, we may not take questions on food right now. Let it settle in, let the facts settle in. First digest it and finish it. Then at the end of all the presentations, please note down the questions and comments that you have. At the end of all this presentation, we shall ask the panelists to come back here. Then the questions shall be answered systematically by all of us and all the experts that are in this place. Thank you. So our specialist on women and youth in agriculture, I think it is Madame Goretti Zavuga. You are welcome to come and take us through a presentation. If you dare not welcome somebody representing women and youth, then you're trading on dangerous grounds, because that's the future of this country.
Good afternoon. I'm waiting for my presentation. My name is Goretti Amriat. I work for Women of Uganda Network. And I'm here to make a presentation on women and youth within technological advancements. I'm very passionate about women and girls, so when I go extreme, please don't get angry with me. Sorry, technology is like that. It takes some time. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, this is my presentation. women and youth in agriculture within the emerging technological advancement in Uganda, opportunities, challenges, and the future. Thank you. This is the outline of our presentation. I'll talk brief about UGANDA, brief about agriculture in Uganda, women and youth in agriculture, the current role of women and youth in agriculture, emerging technological advancements in Uganda, agriculture, opportunities for women and youth in agri-technology, successful case studies, then a call to action. I'll be very fast. Next. Yeah, Women of Uganda Network, we are a network of women organizations in Uganda that was established to develop the use of ICTs among women and girls as tools to share information and address issues collectively. Our vision is an inclusive and just society where women and girls are enabled to use ICT for sustainable development. Our mission is to promote use of ICT by women and girls for gender equality and sustainable development. We have objectives, 4 objectives. One is gender and rights are integrated and enforced in government ICT policy processes and programs. Women and girls have access to relevant information in urban and rural areas. Communities are empowered to use ICTs and demand for their digital rights. UGANDA is a strong, vibrant, and sustainable center of gender and ICT excellence in Africa. Those are objectives. And that is UGANDA. Our work basically focuses on advocacy for gender policy and programs. We promote access and use of ICT, digital tools by women and girls. We undertake research that aim at improving access and use of ICTs. We promote women and girls, their digital rights. We carry out digital literacy. And we compile and disseminate information to women and girls through use of ICTs. Next. So basically this is a brief about Uganda. Agriculture is our backbone, which contributes roughly approximately 23% to GDP. It employs 70% of population, which basically majority are women and youth. And we really see that women and youth are crucial drivers of agriculture innovation in Uganda. Next. Women in agriculture, who are they? We see them as knowledge keepers. They have this indigenous knowledge and traditional farming practices that can be adapted to modern agriculture. They are efficient resource managers. They are food security champions, which are, when I talk about this, is that basically women are responsible for our food in the household, and basically they have to make sure it's available. However, they have challenges like the first challenge such as they don't have land, they don't have credit, they even don't have technology, not even extension services. Okay? Next, we have the youth in agriculture. These youth, they are tech savvy. In my work, normally, young women or young girls, they are interested in technology compared to older women. So they are tech savvy, especially in this generation. We love technology. However, we also have this entrepreneurial spirit. We have so many ideas. There are so many tech innovations right now being brought in by the youth. They also know about climate change. But however, these young people, they are leaving the rural areas. They are coming to the urban centers to look for what to do, because in agriculture, there is a lot of unemployment. So there are no opportunities of employment. So they are trying to come basically to leave the rural areas to search for opportunities in the urban areas. But agriculture would have been the best thing where to stay and be employed. Okay? Next. Next. So we are saying that women in agriculture, they produce 70 to 80% food production. I've already talked about that they don't have resources like land, credit, and they also gender. They don't take decisions. They also, they have a lot of labor, they have a lot of hard work, they have a lot of workload. So, however, we see the youth, there is a lot of high unemployment rates, and also we see that this agriculture is basically like a basis where the youth would be really being employed, but also for income generation. And we also see that the youth also, they are facing the same problem. They don't have land, they don't have money, they don't have capital, they even don't know the technology. They even don't have the funds. So they also have the challenges right now in the rural areas in agriculture. Next. We are saying that At the moment in Uganda right now, we are seeing a lot of emerging technological advancements, which majority we see the use of mobile phone. So we have a lot of mobile applications which are being put in place to ensure that actually they help the farmers like access information on agricultural prices, on agricultural markets, extension services. We are also seeing that even understanding weather, forecasting for weather, there is a lot of mobile applications. And also a lot of use of mobile phones. But take note that in the rural areas, not many people has the mobile phones which are actually accessing this kind of information. We have digital payments, or like for instance, M-Pesa, even our digital payments that we have like mobile, Airtel, at the moment they are all on mobile phones. We have precision farming like drones. Yes, drones takes pictures, they also take information. So there is a lot of technology right now that we have, that we are seeing right now in Uganda. And also we have agro-technology startups. Like for instance, we have Jaguza for livestock monitoring. We have Emo Mulimisa. All of you have heard about Emo Mulimisa. It's an extension service. All those are available. And they are being used right now. Those who know them, by the way. We also have East Africa, Fumera. We have Tech for Farmers, My Farm, Hero Tractor. There are very many. And by the way, the youth, when I talk about the youth, as I say that the youth, they have these brains because they want to use technology. So they are tech savvy. They are not like my women, basically, who are just behind. For them, they want to learn. They want to know. So then we have another big animal, which we call artificial intelligence. This artificial intelligence, the youth actually are getting in there. It's being it's being used in Uganda. And by the way, not very many people have actually really adapted to it to ensure that they are using it. But there are so many apps which are using artificial intelligence to ensure that you are able to get like a weather forecast, diagnose your diseases of your crops or your animals. So even the apps on computer like ChatGPT, Gemini, they all give you information that you need. So there is quite a lot that we can actually get to get information on extension, information on agriculture services using agri-tech. And also, we have Internet of Things, and this one is used in climate smart agriculture and data collection to monitor weather conditions. Next. What are the opportunities of women and youth in agri-tech? We are seeing that these agri-tech opportunities, agri-tech platforms which are available, they are enabling us access new skills, knowledge through digital platforms. There are so many digital platforms right now where you can go and get information, where you can learn. With the really COVID coming in space where all of us actually went online, you can agree with me that all of us are using technology. We are using Zoom, we are using Teams, we are using all kinds of platforms, even to conduct conferences. There is a lot of opportunity to learn. For the youth, for the women, for the by the way, I talk about girls, because those are the ones I work with so much. For the girls, but also for the boys. So there's a lot of opportunities for the girls, for the boys, for the women and the men. Of course, women have more challenges, which I will talk about. There's also enhanced market access. There's a lot of e-commerce these days that we are doing online. A lot, okay? You can sell your goods. The biggest examples I can give here, we have Jumia, Ujiji, Tech for Farmers. Actually, that one you can tell people what you have and they're able to what? You put it online and they're able to buy it. So there are so many platforms. There is quite a lot that you can use to sell your products, to put out information on your products, to know market prices, so that you're able basically to sell. You can also use social media. If you don't have money, you don't even have to go very far. Just use social media. Just use WhatsApp. Just use Facebook. I know Facebook is banned in Uganda, but you can use other accessible social media platforms. So it's very easy. You can actually sell your tomatoes. You can actually send out information, whatever you have, to be able to sell your products. So even social media can actually help. Then you can also access financial services. There are very many. We have so many, I see so many platforms which actually access credit to people. But most importantly, we have Young African Works, a platform by MasterCard Foundation. This one provides small loans to small farmers. We have a Civico. This one monitors loans for farmers. Then we have youth-led startups. I'm saying these ones are on the rise. By the way, these days, the word is innovation. If you're not able to innovate, even when we go for those meetings, we keep telling them, what can you think differently? So our youth, they should be able to think differently. How are you able to compete, to be able to put up something that is able to bring you market, and even able to give you money? See, because we do startups, but they start small and they're able to extend, they're able to expand. So we are looking at this technology. How can we really embrace it in agriculture to be able to increase yields, to be able to improve our management, our productivity, all those kind of things. Next. So we are saying that this technology basically has impact on productivity and profitability. Why? It increases efficiency. Technologies reduce labor and resource use while maximizing yields. You all know that. When you're using technology, basically, these days we are talking about artificial intelligence. People are worried they're going to lose their jobs. You know, technology, you need only one person to manage the machine. So there's quite a lot of challenge with technology, but it's good because you reduce the cost of what? Of labor. We are talking about climate resilience with agri-tech platforms that can actually forecast weather. You are able to know when you are planting, you are able to know when you are going to harvest, you are able to know basically also to understand the diseases. So you minimize on the costs of spending on pests, that kind of thing, and also of losses. We're also talking about enhanced product quality. It also, these techs helps us to control quality of products, of our products. Next. We are saying that, though we are talking about this technology, I know all of us in Uganda are talking about this technology. We have smartphones, but how many people have smartphones? When I go to the rural people, I ask, how many women have smartphones? They tell me they all have analogs, isn't it? You know small phones? They have these small phones. How many of those phones can access the internet? But is the internet there in the rural areas? So is this technology I'm talking about in the rural area? Is it there? So is it used? So we are saying that government should help us, okay? Government should help us and put in place support policies, like for instance, for digital literacy. My women, all the women in the rural areas are digital illiterate, very literate, illiterate. By the way, even those ones who have phones, they are using phones for calling, okay? Those ones who have phones, they are using it for WhatsApp. Do you think those women are using those phones for marketing? They are not. They are not even using that phones for business. Okay, there are very few people who are actually using a phone to get value or to get money. So we need to teach these people, our girls, our youth, to ensure that they are maximally utilized, know how to use those digital tools, the mobile phones, whichever app is available. Okay, I talked about Emo Mulimisa. We were working with Emo Mulimisa as UGNET. We used to go and train people in rural communities how to access it, how to use it. So if you don't train them, then they won't know. They will not know. So it's very important. Digital literacy is done. But you cannot do it for free. So we need government support. We are saying also the private sector. We need to set up inclusive solutions. When I talk about inclusive, there are solutions which are not inclusive. So what do I mean by inclusive? Are these solutions inclusive of people with a disability? Are these solutions inclusive of women? You find that some solutions actually, women cannot use them. One, they don't know them, but even the language they are in. One of the limiting factors of women to use these technologies is language. Language. All the languages are in English. We are very much aware that majority of our women are what? Illiterate, okay? So are they going to use this technology we are putting in place? So we need really support. We need partnerships. We need support. We need patience. We need many development actors, NGOs, to come together in this space to take technology forward. If we are talking about technology in agriculture, and we've talked about that 70% of the women in the rural area, they're all in the rural areas, and part of them are youth. We need to do something. We have to ensure that we sensitize, we teach them. We even make the technology available. Is it available? The cost, how is the cost? It's very expensive, okay? So, are they able to access the technology? So all that, we need really support with the development partners. Wow. I thought my, okay, so something was cut off from there, but let me just talk about this initiative. The last one was education and skilling training. We are saying that since now, the way forward is technology. Whichever program you put in place, please do digital literacy, okay? Train people, young girls starting from childhood, teach them. In whichever program you're doing, do digital literacy. Teach people how to use these technologies. And technology, they should use it very well in terms of value. How are they what are they getting out? So we are saying that education and skills training are key. Incorporate these things in whatever you are doing. So I'm looking at the success stories in Uganda. Jaguza, we talked about Jaguza. People are using Jaguza for livestock. Is Agric is a digital platform providing market linkage, weather information, and agronomy support. Youth agri-tech startups, they highlight youth-led ventures making an impact on local agriculture. This is a web-based platform that provides agriculture extension to farmers. You actually call and get an answer. So they are there, they are available right now. But are we embracing them? Are we using them? Are we actually applying them? Do we have the platforms? Do we have the tools to use? That's the most important. Next and lastly, so we are saying the future of agriculture in Uganda is in inclusive digital transformation. Inclusivity, when I talk about inclusivity, it has to be inclusive. When we are talking about innovation, let us innovate, including women, including people with disability. Let us think about everyone. Let us not exclude anyone. We are talking about private-public partnership. We need to build partnerships among different partners to be able to support these developments of technology because no one can afford it. We are talking about empowering women and youth through targeted training, resources, and community support. Yes, digital literacy, targeted trainings, please those communities, give them the skills. Then we are saying that we should invest in agriculture technology innovation that are accessible and sustainable for women and youth in agriculture. So whatever we are thinking, at least should be accessible, understandable, inclusive, and usable, okay? So you are going to think about, when I'm talking about gender, look about all the gender constraints women use in using technology. Please include them in those technical innovations. Yeah, I think that's all. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, WOGNET, for the passionate presentation. Maybe before you leave the podium, tell us, what is WOGNET in full?
WOGNET is Women of Uganda Network.
Women of Uganda Network. Why didn't you not mention the youth? Oh, the women implies that they give birth to the youth. So we have implied that
women,
the youth also
we even said that even the one who has been born, because we work with only women and girls.
Yes.
That's why I told that when I was starting that I'm going to be selfish. Our policy of gender mainstreaming, we are very selfish. We do 30-70. I don't want to talk about gender because it can bring confusion
All
here.
right.
So even the girls are women, okay? So we do women and girls. And we want to ensure that they also come into the space and they enjoy the technology. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm sure there will be lots of questions and comments coming in later. Please give a hand clap. You know, the future of anything that you do lies in the hands of the next generation. Any innovation that you do is just one generation away from extinction. And that is something which is mainstreamed into our agriculture and all our interventions. Yes, we're going to have opportunity to ask questions at a later date. Time is not on our side, so I'll ask the next presenters, please, strictly 10 minutes. Just present to us what you want to present. I'm sure we are generating a lot of questions and concerns. Who is supposed to be here next? Resilience along agriculture value chain. Choice Agaba. Choice Agaba, are you ready? Yes. They're coming in for resilience along agriculture value chain. Please, welcome, welcome. Are you still concentrating on what we're talking about with your eyes wide open? If your neighbor is closing the eyes, please tell them to concentrate with the eyes wide open. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I hope I fit into the shoes of the previous two speakers. They really had a lot of energy. And seeing that it's after lunch, I could have been a victim of that heavy lunch. So my name is Choice Agawa. I'm a member of UFAS. At UFAS, we have technical working groups, and there is one on resilient and inclusive agriculture, and I happen to be the current head. But I also work for NARO in Kawanda, and I'm here to just share perspectives and bring you on speed about sub-theme 2, which is basically going to be about resilience and inclusivity along agricultural value chains. But for starters, a lot of statistics has been talked about this morning, especially highlighting about the importance of agriculture, in let me see if this comes out. Okay. Basically, agriculture being a fundamental pillar of Uganda's economy, particularly in areas where subsistence farming is very predominant, the contribution it makes to the GDP, employing the population, how it is crucial for food security and the livelihoods. Nevertheless, it faces a lot of pressures, climate change, population pressures here and there, the unsustainable practices that are being carried out, and yet these contribute a lot to the changes in climate, and yet these changes affect the climate even worse. Now these challenges ultimately they undermine the productivity, the sustainability, and ultimately they exacerbate the inequalities that we are talking about. Just to dive a little bit into why we are talking about this, basically, we also know that Uganda is predominantly rain-fed. More than, I think, 95% of our agriculture is rain-fed. We all are aware of the extremes and the climatic variabilities that affects our crops, our livestock, the frequent droughts and the floods that that lead to food insecurity. And then the vulnerability is also compounded by the fact that we have limited adaptive capacity for most of the smallholder farmers who also lack access to technologies and practices, like the previous speaker has also just been highlighting. And yet, the resilience of the sector is severely undermined, which threatens the livelihoods of those who depend on it for survival. And I'm sure very many of us depend on it for survival. The population pressures, you saw the rapid urbanization, basically, which increases competition for resources and land, urban migration that usually results into people fighting for land here and there. You've seen the numerous land conflicts. And then, of course, definitely the remaining population will always struggle to see how they maintain their food production. These consequences are particularly pronounced for the vulnerable groups, like Goretti has just told you, especially the women, the youth, and these face barriers, to accessing opportunities, like she just highlighted. It's not any different. And then, of course, the unsustainable agricultural practices also contribute to the declining resilience of Uganda's farming systems. Many smallholder farmers are still glued to the indigenous and traditional practices of agriculture, which ultimately lead to low productivity, environmental degradation, the overexploitation of the natural resources that are available to us. And then if you couple this with the inadequate soil management, definitely it will lead to declining soil fertility and then vulnerability to shocks. The EDFS this morning clearly talked about the challenges we have with our soil fertility in Africa and the various initiatives that are ongoing to make sure that these are addressed. Now also, this is also further compounded by the lack of investment in research and extension. And this will, of course, limit the ability by all the stakeholders to adopt some of these practices that would otherwise have enhanced productivity and resilience. Economic volatility, of course, the fluctuations in global commodity prices and the domestic instability this year. We've been very lucky as Uganda that we are on the on the receiving end of some of these fluctuations in prices, the coffee. All the farmers are smiling to the bank. But usually when we're on the lower end, this severely impacts the farmers' incomes and ultimately their food security. We all remember how the COVID-19 pandemic highlighted the fragility of food systems. There was massive disruption in supply chains, reduced market access for smallholder farmers, and this disproportionately affected the vulnerable populations the most. You saw the drives that were being carried out soliciting for food to help the highly vulnerable. And of course, this increases inequalities and the risks of food insecurity. Goretti has talked about the inequitable access to resources very well, that perpetuate inclusiveness gaps in the agriculture sector. Basically, women, the youth, the marginalized households, having those barriers in accessing land, access to credit because they don't have control over these, access to inputs, which eventually limits their participation in agricultural production. And she has also told you how women have a very crucial role that they play in production. They bear the brunt of primary production, especially for food. They are the ones who till, they are the ones who plant, they're the ones who weed, sometimes harvest, and then the men just come in to sell whatever they have harvested. So basically, as much as they do all this donkey work, they often lack the control over the resources, and their decision making is really, really limited. So what are we saying? Addressing these inequities is very essential if we are to promote inclusive development and food security. And that's why we now introduce the theme of building resilience and inclusiveness, because we think that resilient systems will strengthen the adaptive capacity against such shocks and such changes. And some of these practices could be agroecology, regeneration, climate smart, nutrition sensitive practices, integrating the management of pests, how do we manage our soil, water, and the likes. And then inclusive systems basically ensure that these marginalized and vulnerable groups, including women, youth, people with disabilities, fully participate in and benefit from these practices, whereby we address their constraints and then their unique and location-specific needs. Basically, we are ensuring that the services are very affordable, the prices are a bit fair, they have access to insurance, and then we regularly, from time to time, identify the gaps. So now narrowing it down to us, the extension, what is our role basically? So extension services are very, very critical if we are to enhance the adaptive capacity, and they are very essential for facilitating bottom-up approaches. Basically, we know most of these things that we do, the training and the advice on climate smart practices that are always tailored to local conditions, all these fit into within this scope that we're talking about. Most of those practices that we are talking about, we basically help equip the farmers with knowledge and the skills that they can use to promote the productivity and then their resilience. But how do we gauge the effectiveness of extension services towards contributing to this? The effectiveness is basically influenced by competencies of extension workers. At UFAS, we've done quite a number of studies that basically assesses the capacities and the skills and the competencies of extension workers when it comes to climate change and related aspects. Then we're also saying that the technical and interpersonal skills training is essential to effectively communicate and disseminate information about some of these innovative practices. And then we have also seen that most of the approaches that we use to teach farmers, like the farmer-to-farmer learning exchanges, the farmer field school approaches, they basically amplify impacts of training efforts, whereby they allow the farmers that are participating to share knowledge, collaborative learning, share experiences. But then also we know that extension services are a very critical interface between researchers and farmers. Basically, they facilitate the flow of information from research institutions to the farming communities, And ultimately, this bridges the gap between scientific knowledge and then the practical application. Gorete has also just talked about integration of ICT that can enhance dissemination and access to information, especially in the hard-to-reach remote areas and also the marginalized communities through technology, digital platforms. Extension workers can, for example, provide timely information on weather and climate, pest management, market prices, using most of those apps that she's been talking about, which ultimately empowers farmers to improve or make better decisions. How do we strengthen inclusive resilience through extension? Now, to enhance the impact of extension services, it is very crucial to target those vulnerable groups through engaging groups such as, established community organizations such as, women groups. This has proven very effective in disseminating agricultural knowledge and skills. For those of you that stay in areas where most of these groups are vibrant, how this operates. Then also we are talking about training at decentralized levels using farmer field schools, leveraging on some of those ICT technologies that will help overcome the logistical challenges, especially in the hard-to-reach areas or the remote areas. Also, use of diverse media, to disseminate information will basically also enhance the learning experiences. They ensure that the vital agricultural practices are communicated, effectively. Then we're also talking about community programs. Community-based programs that establish village saving schemes have also been very, very impactful in providing access to capital inputs to vulnerable populations. They promote financial inclusion, and the savings and the likes. Gorete also just talked about something, when women are empowered as agents of change, they can effectively transfer knowledge across generations, thereby strengthening resilience in the long term. They say you train a mother, you train a what? Train a mother, you train a nation. Yeah, so yeah, we've seen these examples whereby you, if you enhance the capacity of a female-led enterprise, usually their children will also want to take up from that. So
Giving you 2 minutes.
Yeah, only one slide left. So also basically providing output-based incentives for adoption of these CSA practices. It has also been seen to encourage participation, adoption of sustainable practices, and also mentoring youth entrepreneurship within these cooperatives. It basically creates a new generation of agricultural leaders who can tackle problems of the emerging generations. So the key take-home message is strengthening farmer-centered extension remains key because it supports the scaling of proven adaptation strategies, but it needs a multi-pronged approach, an approach that enhances the capacity. Basically, this combines the technology dissemination, localized learning forums, equitable program design, and of course, multi-sectoral sector coordination amongst public, private, NGOs, and the likes. And then, of course, this builds the capacity of diverse stakeholders to withstand shocks, ultimately supporting livelihoods, food security, and contributing sustainable development goals. We therefore need a coordinated action by all stakeholders to be able to provide an integrated solution. Thank you for listening to me this afternoon.
Yes, thank you very much. I think we chose the right choice. We chose the right choice to make the presentation. Thank you, Choi Sagaba, for that well-presented submission. Once again, I would like to invite the next speaker. Somebody is going to speak to us about private agriculture extension services. And thereafter, we shall have somebody speak to us about artificial intelligence, just before we end the day. But you can just stand and stretch yourself out a little bit. Stretch yourself and keep digesting what we had for lunch, which was very nice. Don't think a lot about what Professor Achileo said. He's not here at least, so. But I'm not discrediting what he said, but so that you peacefully digest what you ate. Yes, as he connects, yes, you can say hello to your neighbor, give a high five. You probably need to know your neighbor's name by now. You know who they are. I see some of you high-fiving your left hand to your right hand. I don't know how many people reside inside you, but I'll take it that you're a neighbor to yourself. Yes, thank you. You can have your seats. Let's welcome our colleague here for Private Extension Service Provision, Dr. Joshua Isiko. Isiko, you're welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name has been mentioned. Joshua Isiko is my name. And I'm here to share with you an overview over the private sector in the extension services. The question is, what exactly is happening with this agriculture extension? And that's the question we all ask ourselves and sometimes fail to get the answer. And I'm here to explain that with a few examples and assumptions to challenge you to see it differently. I'll sound a bit controversial, so be ready. I'll start by challenging us to look at how other countries are far from us. I picked a few examples of technologies, 4 of them. Cage farming, artificial insemination, the cages for layers, and then the walk behind tractor. Surprisingly, in as much as in other countries, it's very odd. For cage farming, we were 46 years late. By the time it came here, in Europe, it was there in the 1960s. And artificial insemination was there in 1937. We got it in 1965. It was the fast track for Uganda. There, we can even clap for ourselves for that one. And now you come to caged layer, the layers in cages. As it is being banned in Europe, it is just starting in Uganda. That's how we have delayed. So, and that one we are about 70 years behind in terms of adoption. And then the walk behind tractor is something now these days people are pumping and showing off. To your surprise, it is 92 years old in some other places. What does that tell you? That where we are today is exactly a reason of how behind we are in adopting the latest technology for productivity. On average, I would say 59 years. On average, I did an average, but I would take it to be over 50. Because if you begin slotting in other technologies, we may get a more other realistic view. So the question is, why are we behind by 50 years, almost? That a technology is phasing out somewhere, and for us, an extension officer is running with it. If you want to feel that, you wait for the trade show. Either Harvest Money or Pewosa, you will find somebody with a very old technology on his stall and is pitching it as an innovation as if it is made yesterday. But the whole issue is that he has just known it yesterday. It is 100 years old, and it is now what is trending in Uganda. So you can imagine where other continents will be when we are operating at that level. Now, that one way is attributed by the content that we get in the education system. It's quite odd. Our content is static. I have my notes, or their books there, and we have not modified the way of delivery to adopt the latest. We do not challenge people to go and scan what is new out there. So we do not train extension professions to look for information. So we leave them as dependent on notes. And then the other one is a mismatch. In Uganda, you may find somebody researching about a technology which is 100 years in another continent. and that is a professor or a lecturer or a PhD student. And there's a mismatch, and it's not even answering the productivity needs of the country. The farmers are lamenting with something else, a researcher is doing something else to accumulate papers. So there's a mismatch. The other one is complex. If it is matching, then it is published for self-sharing. It is a science with a scientist. An ordinary extension service provider and a farmer may not pick any kind of information out of it. Then the other one is the subsistence extension mentality. Subsistence meaning when I graduated in 2010, all of you knew is that I would get a call from a farmer, run there, treat the animal, charge what you feel. You even don't know how to cost your services. That's how funny it is. You will ask for 100,000 when you sit down to calculate the cost in there. You used 120. So you've just given away 20,000 to the farmer. And that's, I am not trained to offer services of extension as a business. I am trained to live subsistence. Just get a call, go serve, get a call, go and serve. That's what I'm trying to do. Who are these actors that are struggling in that kind of mess in Uganda? We have non-government employed service providers, many of them, by the way. I agree with somebody made a statement here that you may be shocked that the number of extension service providers is actually more than enough in the country. If you really tally those employed by government and those in private circles, it's big. Who are these? You have categories of people in crop and livestock, where we have the para-veterinarians and the veterinarians. We have the agriculturalists. And then we have demonstration farmers. Actually, these ones have rocked so much Uganda. If the most vibrant extensionists in the country, especially who are not treating but they are giving management technologies, are more of demonstration farmers. You find a farmer believing in himself. What worked for him, he will share it with others. And even make them pay to enter that farm and earn money from there. There are many of those. And then we have input dealers. These offer services. Oh, sorry. Is it it's off here. So I'll be continuing as. So vet drug shops. These people give services over the counter. There's a few calls you make to consult. Some of them have some kind of vets that would go with you to administer and do a few things. But we have those who are doing in inputs and those who are doing agriculture chemicals, herbicides, these other fungicides and all those, and equipment. These constitute the private sector. And they are doing a lot of work. Actually, most of the consultations that farmers do in livestock and crop are over the counter. A farmer walks in with a problem, explains, and they give them advice plus a chemical or an equipment. They are doing a lot of work in the country. And then the NGOs who give either free or subsidized services in extension. But their reach is limited because the moment the budget is cut off, that's the end of their extension. They will never rock the whole of Uganda. They rock up to a certain village, and their budget is limited. Now, I want to show you that in as much as we think there is no money in private sector, private extension, there's a lot of money. The problem is us who are offering extension. I just did this similar assumption and said, assuming I have a household willing to pay an equivalent of 1 chicken a year for extension. We have 70 million households that have been tagged to be agriculture in the country. Do you know that the market value of private extension is about 140 billion every year? If you pick 2 parishes and you have concentrated on 2 parishes and assure them advice, you will make 20 million. Because 2 parishes constitute about 1,000 households. Where is the problem? It's not that those peasants cannot pay for extension. It is the model of our business that is lacking. It is not that that subsistence farmer is not able to pay for the service. Surprisingly, if you went to them, they struggle with buying chemicals, which don't work sometimes. What if we turned around and designed models to harness how do we sell these services in a more affordable way to these people? So the gap seen here that I would dwell on is, first, we are not taught how to get the latest information for extension. And that is a retooling need. You have to chase for it yourself as an extension service provider. I did that and I changed my life. Today, if you assessed who I am, you cannot match me with a vet degree I got from Makerere. No, I'm a different person. Because I chose to chase another direction, which makes me more valuable. And then, there's a lot of informality. Even when that extension service provider is getting a lot of calls, they will never think of turning it into a corporation. He thinks he will be an individual for a life up to when he's 80 years old. That is wrong. If we only learned that it can start from an individual and become a corporation in an extension, we could be far. Because you who has an idea can employ other extension service providers in the same company to offer services. So we need to get out of informality and become formal, establish corporations for extension. I have some few I know in the country that are doing that, but even when we start, you fear to extend it, to have branches in the country. There are products that you cannot, if you met an extension service provider who is an individual in the field there, and they asked them, list for me the services you offer, they don't have them. So we do not have standard products for extension. We have not sat down to say, this farmer needs A, B, C. I am going to offer it as C. And it costs me this amount of money. I am going to charge them this amount of money. We don't have that. Every time they call you, you struggle to even estimate the cost because you don't have a standard service you are offering. So that is the level of informality we are operating in the private sector, which we need just to change and get better. And then most of our extension it rotates around crisis. There is an animal that is dying, there is a problem on the farm, there is a garden is drying up, yet money is not there. I did that and I switched because there's no money there. You are running for a dying cow. The moment your drugger is in and it dies with your drugger, you just have to pray to God to be paid. But if I went and I am helping a farmer when the animals are alive, he will pay me. So we need to leave the crisis and start from the planning and the support that does business to grow at farm level. I can change a subsistence farmer through my services to become a commercial farmer. He will pay me more if I grow him to that level. And then the subsistence thinking should stop. You find that a business mind in an extension service provider in the private is lacking. We don't really think so business. The models we are using to get money from people is the ordinary one of go treat, go offer service and ask. There are many other models that we can use for people to make these services paid. So I challenge all of us, even marketing. Rarely do you market your services. Of course, there are those scares in the policy that you don't market yourself as a doctor. But I market a company and its services. I'm not marketing a vet. So a vet surgeon is not marketed, but the company where a vet surgeon works will be marketed. I want to give you, as I conclude, the journey. I graduated in 2010 at Makerere. I served, I treated, I even rode a bicycle to make money. I rode a motorcycle to make money. Here in Kampala, I would leave farms at 1 a.m. in the night. I was not accumulating money until I changed my version of making money in private extension. I only worked in the government for 3 months in Addis, and I got tired because I left. Again, I've just started working with the government when the government looked for me to support innovators in the office of the president. I've lived in the private sector since 2010. I changed from one individual to a corporation, which we call a single spark. I don't negotiate with you as an individual, and you pay money to an institution. You don't pay me. That means I can send anyone to serve you, not me. I charge differently. I charge either per day if I'm coming, because there's these farmers who are tricky you and say, doctor, come and visit me, and they ask you all the advice at the time of visit. So if you call me to visit you, I charge you for a day. I am coming to your farm, pay me per day. I have standardized my services in 2 days. When I come, you pay me per day. Ask all questions, take me anywhere, I make my money. So I no longer, you just don't get me anyhow. Then the other one is, I used to do everything. Now I've specialized. I do feed and business analysis or advice. So when you want to make money in farming, you come to me. I don't treat. I no longer run with syringes. I have upgraded myself to that level. I am doing extension, and I have very successful farmers around me. You can't sit before me for 1 hour and you make errors in farming. Because I've accumulated all that knowledge far away from vet, animal feed, and business. So then the other one is, now my customers changed. They are not only farmers. Even extension officers come to me and they pay me money to help them do better. NGOs pay me. So my client have changed. Because I'm a company, I can negotiate a business with another company. But you as an individual who is informal, you can't negotiate a business with a company. They will not come to you. So I no longer use only developed technologies. Now I develop technologies. If you've heard of the feed calculator, I'm one of the developers. It's a formulation tool. So that's how I've upgraded my extension service. Am I still an extension service provider? Super. Do I run with a syringe? No. Do I even know the latest drug? I think probably for some diseases. I don't know. But I make money from the same market. So I have changed from this substance vet who graduated in 20. I finished 2010, I graduated in 2011. To now the person I am today, that I wanted to do medicine, but I tell people every day that I thank God I don't do any human medicine. Because the money I've made in vet, I wouldn't have made it in human medicine. I've made very simple money, smart, without even having all the pressures of the person is dying in your hands. So, thank you very much. My work was to challenge you and show that there's money in private sector. Don't give up.
Yes, thank you once again, Joshua. Thank you very much for those encouraging words. You know, extension is usually seen as a free good. And you know, when something is free, you don't value it much. So that is a paradigm shift, something for you to think about. If a good is free, you will not value it much. How many of you ladies here would love it if I went and plucked a hibiscus flower from somewhere here and it is your birthday and I gave you hibiscus, I say, please accept this very beautiful hibiscus flower. Most of you wouldn't, but you'd want some special flower, a chrysanthemum, a rose, because there's value attached. So extension shouldn't just be seen as a free product that should just be thrown out there. So thank you very much for those words. I'm sure very many people will want to get in touch with you. Finally, our presentation for the day, which is going to be the last for today, is going to be on AI. Not artificial insemination, but artificial intelligence. AI can be misunderstood in very many circles to mean different things. So someone is going to come and talk to us here about artificial intelligence. These days you can chat with somebody who is not a somebody. You can chat with a person that does not exist, and they seem to be engaging you mentally. But who are they? You know, on WhatsApp, you see there's now AI. You chat, you have a conversation. But so tell us more about this AI in 10 minutes. Then we shall have a very brief short video. Then we shall ask questions, and the day will be over. So just stay put. We are just about to summarize the day. You're very welcome. Let us know who you are. If you're AI itself, the one that we have always heard about, or somebody else.
Thank you so much. Hi, good afternoon. I'm called Mona Lisa Mutesi. I work with ISDA. ISDA is Innovative Solutions for Decision Agriculture. Okay. Great. Yes. So at ISDA, we've innovated a tool called Virtual Agronomist. Virtual Agronomist harnesses the power of artificial intelligence to provide science-based nutrient advisory services to farmers. Yes, so with this tool, it comes at a very low cost, and farmers are able to get the opportunity to diagnose pest using their phones. So with this artificial intelligence, we deliver virtual agronomists using WhatsApp. Actually, those who have, many of you have flyers on your tables. We have a demo. When you scan that QR code, you can just get, it will take you directly to our WhatsApp, where you can have a feel of how our AI virtual agronomist works. So with this service, farmers will be able to diagnose pests and diseases. They're able to know the nutrients in their soils, which reduces the issue of blanket applications. So in a situation, many of us extension workers, we've dealt with farmers, and you've had scenarios where a farmer will come and tell you, me I've put NPK, 5 bags of NPK, and you ask, so what did you base on? And the farmer is going to tell you, well, that's what my father used to do, or that is what my neighbor is doing. But with virtual agronomist, it's giving farmers an opportunity to know the nutrients in their soils using our ISDA soil map. This data we inherited from AFSIS, Africa Information Services, that did a project to do soil sampling for the whole of Africa. This soil map is free of charge. If you need it, you can just go to our website, but also we share our IP address if you need it. So we generate soil properties using ISDA soil map, and we give the farmer an opportunity to know nutrients in their soils. That's nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, and pH. And then it goes ahead to give the farmer a recommendation based on the nutrients that have been found in the soil. This map just shows some of our, the training points in Africa where we've picked soil samples. So as I stand here, we are able to give you soil information from any part of Africa. You just go to our website and click on any part of Africa, and you'll be able to get that information. Our AI virtual agronomist chatbot follows very few simple steps where we register the farmer. So when you go to our WhatsApp, those who have tried it already, you'll see that first we register the farmer. That's farmer profiling. We are able to know the farmer's name, number, location, where the field is located. Because using satellite imaging, we are able to locate, I can come to your ground, and then from office, I'll be able to see that farmer so and so in Bulambuli is at this particular point using our virtual agronomist AI. So we do some registration. We give farmers an opportunity to select crops from the variety of crops that we have. A farmer will select what they are going to grow that season, and then go ahead and get a nutrient management plan. Now, our AI does not just give you a nutrient management plan, but it goes ahead to send constant prompts, which we call alerts. They come as reminders, reminding farmers when to weed, check emergency, when to apply top dressing. So they come normally as WhatsApp images. And then the farmer is reminded, oh, farmer, let me say, Farmer Mona Lisa, please check emergency. And in case of any issues with emergency, this AI virtual agronomist is going to give you solutions on what could have gone wrong during emergency. I hope we all know what emergency is. I don't want to think that we are all on the same page. We all know what emergency is? Great. So yeah. Then at the end of the season, we also get the opportunity to record harvest data. With this data, we can compare what the farmer has received while using virtual agronomist compared to what they had before virtual agronomist. And all this data, when we partner with an organization or cooperative, whoever we partner with, we share this data with you. So we profile the farmers, and then we give you this data as well. Our approach. So we put together soil and weather information, farm profile, because we pick some bit of farm profile and history from the farmers, because as much as we are using AI, I'm not dealing away with extension workers. We still use the human factor, because as much as we're using AI, we pick some farming history from the farmers and then input local marketing prices. That's prices of fertilizers, costing that goes into production during farming. And then together with our scientific models, we feed this into ChatGPT and then produce it through WhatsApp. So the AI virtual agronomist you're getting on WhatsApp is not through, this information is not from ChatGPT. We are feeding information into ChatGPT and then giving it to you through WhatsApp. So let's not get it twisted. Farmers are able to, like I mentioned earlier, do pest and disease diagnosis. We have some images there. In case a farmer sees a word like black girls and they don't know what it is, there are images for a farmer to identify that, oh, okay, black girls is this. But also, we are working on a model where a farmer can just take a picture of what their crop is suffering from and then just go to our virtual agronomist and ask, what is wrong with my crop and what can I do to heal it? So that can be done with our virtual agronomist AI. Like I mentioned, that is not so clear, but like I mentioned earlier, we profile farmers. This, as faint as it is, if you can see those purple, black, green, those are plots that have been registered through virtual agronomists. We call them plots, but I mean gardens. So we look at this data, we filter it. In case a plot has not been registered well, we talk to the farmers, because now we have the names, we have their numbers, so we can call them up and tell them, by the way, this plot you did not capture the GPS location very well. Please redo it, because when we are capturing GPS, we want to know the size of the land. So if a farmer is growing on an acre, virtual agronomist needs to know that if it's an acre, I need to recommend the right fertilizer for 1 acre. I can't recommend the fertilizers for 1 acre on a 0.5 acre plot. So that's why we get the sizes. Yeah, because one will wonder why WhatsApp. WhatsApp has spread like a wildfire. You find people deep in the villages where you think there is no internet connectivity, but these people have WhatsApp. By show of hands, how many of us have WhatsApp here? Just listen. How many of the rest of you don't have WhatsApp? Ah, okay. So then I need to go back because before we go into any region, we need to customize that region. We need to customize virtual agronomists for that particular region. So we give a code to that region. So these farmers, we found that WhatsApp is easy to use. It does not need to be downloaded. It does not need a lot of training because farmers are already familiar with WhatsApp. This is an image, one of the examples. So this particular image is a sunflower plot where a farmer used virtual agronomists on this side and then farmer practice on this side. Those dotted lines are just to show the difference, but it was the same garden. This garden was planted at the same time, in the same season, but you can see that on the side where they used virtual agronomists, the crops were able to withstand, because it was during a dry spell, and the crops that used virtual, on the side where they used virtual agronomist, it was able to withstand the dry season compared on the farmer practice side. And with virtual agronomist, we have seen an increase, farmers getting 50% increase, others even doubling their yield while using virtual agronomist. This is a brief comparison, small table to compare results among virtual agronomists and farmer practice. These numbers were picked from our farmers in Bulambuli who are using virtual agronomist, and we were able to see an increase in yield by 60%, 66% from the farmers who are using virtual agronomist. Now, with our tailored services, artificial intelligence, because we are picking information from the farmers, this gives agro dealers an opportunity to provide the right blends for a particular region. I'll take, for example, we are in Bulambuli and Kabale right at the moment, and because we've picked this data, we have the soil data of these people we've worked with, so even the farmers, before they even go to plant, they've already gotten a nutrient management plan from virtual agronomists. So they know what fertilizers they need even before they start planting. So this helped many farmers to know that, oh, even NPK has different blends. I was training some farmers deep in Masindi, and a farmer actually told me, may I just buy NPK? I didn't know NPK had formulations. I didn't know there was 17, I didn't know there was 24, what, he just buys NPK. So he was shocked to find out that actually NPK has blends. So with this, it helps agro dealers to tailor, to make blends that fit a specific region. This has also... 2 minutes. Okay, sorry. So this has also provided demand for fertilizer, because now farmers are moving away from blanket application, which is quite expensive, and now they are buying specified quantities as recommended by the virtual agronomists.